Good morning. Welcome back to Devil City, baby. Devil City Monday. I'm pretty tired today, I'm not gonna lie to you. There might be a little bit of a, there's no way to know for sure. I might get reinvigorated, but it might be a bit of a, low energy type of stream day. But we'll see. Getting back into it, I poked around a little bit. We've still done a lot of just like looking at crime scenes and like picking up some evidence and stuff. Plenty of stuff to keep track of and poke through. But the gist of what we're up to right now, I'm not 100% sure if there's an ulterior motive. We met this wretched little twink at the Noble Electronics headquarters building, one of them at least. And the at least stated reason for being here is to get Sarah registered. You know, and I know, that she's her own person. But the kind of, like, legal situation still requires an android to be registered as, like, owned, I suppose. Kind of tired type of day. No sleeper, drowser, and someone who woke up in the middle of the night to a panic attack and then caught a nap. Ugh. That's never any fun. Okay, so I just skimmed the backlog and I forgot the details. Despite being a headquarters building, there's a production line inside, so that's where we are now. And I guess that's got something to do with what we need to be doing. Not 1,000,000,000% confirmed if Morgan knows, or if she doesn't, is just bitch moded. Yeah, it like, with how hard she tries to be nice to everyone's face, I imagine it's like she doesn't really know or grasp it yet. I do remember from episode 0 there's narratives around android sentience and autonomy not being like a thing that is cool to even like research. Like artificial intelligences are considered taboo. Proper attempts at it, I should say. It really is fully furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see all this in person, you know. Would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? We barely met this guy. This extremely femmable employee. So I don't remember what I did for his voice. So maybe I'll work something new out. No problem. I've got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from and why David wanted me to take custody. Pinch my nose and talk like a nerd. I don't think I will be doing this. Finds ads less exhausting to deal with than people. That sounds probable. Although I wonder if that's part of why she does also skip out on some of the formality. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime. Atanai? Wouldn't want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. Mean to her. Okay. We got storage tank, we got big window, we got little pamphlet in the box, or maybe a hollow pad. This thing. Okay. I think I might have accidentally said every time in the previous 2 streams, I was going right to left, and I think every time I accidentally said left to right. Not that it's a big deal, I think it's funny if that happened, and I was tempted to just keep doing it. As a little joke. Feels like I've seen this before. Remember at least the time you noticed I said right to left? That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer nanofacturer for short. Real high quality piece of machinery. Each of them built in-house by Randock Mechanics. What does it do? Nano-level flash fab. Basically a 3D printer for nanomachines. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids? The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. So what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. Building blocks. They feed into the nanoprinter, and it assembles the machines particle by particle. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple amino acids. It must be time-consuming. You would think, but Randock cracked the code on parallel microfracturing. Factoring? Oh, manufacturing, but micro. The inside's crystalline, sprawling, like an ant's nest. It's like fucking me up how effeminate he looks. Because, like, with the other, like, men we've met, from what I remember, I mean, I could look at, London real quick. Like, the little white eyelash lines are just part of the art style, but he's got, like, a notable amount of stubble. David has has a lot more stuff going on, and the I think Carlos from episode 0 also prominently, like, has stubble. This guy has, like, a little bit more eyelash up top. And also this, like, this really pathetic, like, facial expression at all times. See, the thing about David is that, like, there's enough, like, cultural signifiers of femininity in David's, like, outfit and stuff that it, like, I'm not gonna say draws less attention or stands out less or anything, but it, like, David feels more intentionally feminine. Like, this guy looks like an egg. This one's just been passively feminized like all the office drones. Yeah, we'll go with that. raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution. Distilled nectar swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar? It's sticky? It can be, depending on the desired output, but the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. Trying that one out because I just realized it sounds like a weird neocon claim. See, the problem is there's, like, a really unfortunate, like, horseshoe theory. Not horseshoe theory, but, like, horseshoe, like, of stuff that is, like, things that, like, weird, like, red meat obsessed, like, shitheads say to be dismissive, and that, like, yeah, actually, like, trans-feminized people, like, say to, like, imagine an ideal, beautiful world, or, like, a fun kink scenario, or things along those lines, that by accident end up landing in similar spaces. I fully interpreted it the way you like, meant it. Did I read this one? It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own for some reason. Alright, Flash Fab. A method of manufacturing artificial microscopic compounds that utilizes parallel nesting to assemble billions of simple structures in minutes or even seconds. Nanomachines have been around for the better part of a century, but the time and resources required for their construction through traditional means was, historically, prohibitively expensive, limiting exploration of and investment in nanotech. In the years since flash fabrication's introduction, use of and demand for nanomachines has exploded, and scientists, doctors, and product designers have found brand new niches for them across every industry. Concerns about the ecological impact of this surge in nanomachine construction have been raised, although the official stance of the Nanolife Industrial Lobbying Group has remained unwavering. Nothing that small can possibly leave that big of an ecological footprint. Ooh, I don't think it's that simple. Manufacturer. Capable of assembling organic or inorganic compounds, and even nanomachines. Just 2 minutes of vacuum sealed mixing. Noble factory show floor. Machines just like it are used throughout the production process. And we did get a profile for Dawes. August 1st. Blood type A negative. Height 186 and weight. I don't know why I spend any time dwelling on height and weight, because I do not have a good head for how much anything is. Occupation: Chief Supervisor. Android Manufacturing Quality Control. Likes: hammocks, calligraphy, paleo. Dislikes: first dates, conference calls, 5 o'clock shadow. Proud of his practiced handshake. Struggles with solving CAPTCHAs. Hair starting to gray. Tell me someone who looks like this wouldn't like having, even a tiny bit too much stubble. There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass out on the floor, there are temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So, you add the blood towards the end? You mean the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place? Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such. But it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red. Oh, right, sorry. I barely noticed it at this point. The color's natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromafuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment. Changing it from blood red to psychopop pink. Oh, that's more. Changing it from blood red to psychopop pink. Time you went for nearly a decade always having a beard because it felt really uncomfortable without one. Every time you fully shaved and then finally got rid of it and went, hey, what the fuck, we've got Fimmy swag. This owns, actually. That's what it's all about, I think. Without that chromafuge, our android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, no one bats an eye. Possible to know why it made you uncomfortable so long. Oh goodness. Big yawn. What have we got on this datapad? Some kind of write-up? On the subject of Sullivan's Peak. Much of our world today, and in fact much of our world's economy, is heavily influenced by the uncanny valley. The thought experiment provides a simple and easily applied explanation for the gaps we see in the otherwise wide spectrum of automated dependence that assist us in nearly every industry on the planet. There's a very simple primal truth to it. We like things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys. And we like things that are damn near indistinguishable from the living. Like whatever name Noble's latest products are being sold under. But there are deep, deep trenches between those two ends where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. The uncanny valley will no doubt remain a useful tool for teaching, marketing, and design for generations to come. But already we are seeing ways in which it fails. It is becoming increasingly clear to us that the space between nearly indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever expected. And it may not be the only part of the map that we must fear. I propose we bridge these gaps in knowledge by looking to the speculative fiction of Robert J. Sullivan, who, in his most well-known work, Equal Under One Sky, describes a concept which thereafter has been called Sullivan's Peak. Through the lens of his characters and their so very divided world, Sullivan demonstrates that the uncanny valley does, in fact, have its own peak on the other side. A point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable, more difficult, and more fraught with moral pitfalls. Once you reach Sullivan's Peak, traveling any further only has diminishing returns. The implications of this idea are far-reaching. We will very soon reach a point at which the designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable. A hard stopping point for technological progress. What, then, we must ask... Oh, looks like you forgot to sign into this device. Drop your thumbprint below and we'll get you squared away so you can keep reading. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as a gag? Or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be... I mean... It does seem like... This article speaks fairly... positively of the concept of the Sullivan's Peak, like as it being something worth keeping in mind. Imagine if late in the game you get automatic clearance and every logged article has a full version with game-changing context. I don't know why my first thought went to, like, they'd have to break the speedrun. Well, no, I guess, like, a game like this, speedruns are already, like, dependent on how much knowledge you already have. Just knowing the right thing to click. There's no need to, like, dig through, like, articles. Although maybe for, like, high percentage, you need to, like, collect enough credits. Chips. I don't remember. They're not called credits. That's the in-world currency. Give me the log. I would say wary of it is the vibe I get. If the peak does exist, they'll be coming up on it fast now that androids are warm. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry, could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cruel. If Sarah's any indication of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. Although admittedly there's an extent to which I imagine the gist does feel like the important stuff of the article is... I mean, obviously the game is written to be that way. On purpose, but the important stuff of the article always does tend to be before the automated cutoff. This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If DAWS does quality assurance, is it some kind of Android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? Mean. An inhaler left out on the desk. Probably a half-dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. Hold on. Wanted to click this real quick, just to not forget about it indefinitely. Produces organic fluids, removes byproducts, impurities, and pigments to change the color. DAWS? The inhalers, they're distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah. HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. See, that's the thing. The company does do, like, auto-distributed, like, legal recreational stimulants. Well, I guess if they're on the job, they're not recreational, they're performance enhancing, but... Like, I could see there being a, like... a slightly different scenario where they have, like, they just distribute and, like, prescribe dosages of estrogen. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so you can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you who knows how much in lost efficiency. Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. Yeah, he says. I'm me, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. These days? Man, back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years where they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. Popped greens? The Tumblr post that's like... Someone, I don't remember the beginning of it, but someone added on saying their dad calls coffee, like, Gub's Lil Lubba, and calls smoking weed, making us me. Which is not the relevant part. The relevant part is someone else who says their dad calls smoking weed putting on his green hat. I don't know. I don't have any further context for you. All of the information all of the information present is contained within the story. Oh. Yeah, used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there. Swallow a red after brushing your teeth and get into your bunk fast. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement. Like going from torches to the light bulb. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust dosage in real time. Overdoses are way down. That's great to hear. The trainees under me don't realize how good they've got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. Yeah, I know, right? Couple more terms. Or one more term? I thought there was another one. Okay. What I thought it was. Deactivating one's stomach contents through various means. We don't have to dwell on it. What's being built out there? Our top-of-the-line, brand-new bestseller is the Animate 16, Warm. Computer. One Animate 16, Warm. Looks kinda cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Slows the organics already tuned metabolic activity to a minimum. That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal. Oh. Well, all the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini. But how do you get the synthetic and the organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began work on the Warm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle. Oh my god. This is... This is like the poutiest face they've given her yet. And it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just... right. For 2.0, they worked backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin. But digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you passed an electric current through them? They'd flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for facial expressions. Looked like puppets strung up on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. You must have figured something out. The A16 wouldn't look out of place on the runway. Thank you, we try. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just bought out a half a dozen of them, but... right. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just needed to get a mechanical nervous system to move living limbs. Very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. High-precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite? Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Where did that breakthrough come from, Dr. Asher? Partly. He led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the synaptonin, the synthetic analog serotonin, that was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Jung. Jung. Maybe it's Jung, like the guy, the famous guy. Is he a philosopher? We'll go with that. Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Jung before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade. So Jung collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went into Sarah that makes the androids so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Jung. Did he partner with her on this? All done? You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring me. Can you have it step into the scanner? As he says. Understood. Right then, what are we looking at here? Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here. We theorized that it may have been Osher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. What language is that on the screen? Tess. You know, Tesseract. All noble products and, well, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in Tess. We'll go ahead and take a peek at that. Programming language for modern automated dependence. Tesseract 4.6, better known as Tess, is the latest version of the Tesseract programming language. Built on top of the Tenet system and utilized in industries around the globe to code the software that allows androids, robots, holograms, and more to react to their environment intelligently and with intention. At the start of the century, there was a much greater variety in the number of programming languages available with which to code. Globalization, the standardization of industry procedures, and the gradual erasure of many spoken tongues contributed to the loss of countless programming languages during the mid-21st century. Today, Tess is virtually unchallenged as the global lingua franca programming language. The study and teaching of other older programming languages is mostly done for recreation, hobby, or digital archaeology. Easy to read and write. Stay compliant. Now, this model, what's it go by? Sarah. This Sarah model. It's got everything the 16 line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like, in the idea phases. Solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Data storage is so large I can't... No, wow, he had to measure it using... Hell of a poker face. Wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's... hacking? Essentially. Does that mean it could hack its own tenets? A programming framework underlying the development of modern automated dependent software. All contemporary supported programming languages are built upon the tenet system, allowing users to designate a series of inviolable priorities for their code to pursue. Once added to the program, a tenet cannot be circumvented under any traditional circumstances, and even then, only if a tenet with a higher weight supersedes it. Tenets were first adopted in the field of computer science as a trio. Three priorities that governed how preserving human life, obeying human commands, and avoiding damage to human property should be prioritized. Was that Asimov's laws of robots? I imagine is what that's referencing. Since then, the number of supported tenets has ballooned to 113, most of them requested by lobbyists in the insurance industry looking to better define relative financial value. Tenets are well known for increasing the decision time lag of programs. This, combined with their engineered inflexibility, has made it such that most programmers aim for a tenet limit below 30. Originally, the one tenet that could not be removed from any program was TNT _ safety 0, aka tenet 0 or tenet 1. Said tenet dictated that the following program could not produce outcomes that would result in harm to a living person. After the decision reached in People versus Volstance defense contractors and the resulting widespread adoption of automated dependence in the military and security sectors, this is no longer required. Though Tenet 0 may still be added to particularly benign or mundane software as a good luck charm, superstitious ritual, or joke. Yeesh. It's like if Google started making, like, guns and then put "Don't be evil" back in their, like, code of conduct. Oh, no, that's unthinkable. Literally, for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean that there are androids? Well, no, there aren't crazy androids, so yeah. I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems? World if girls could hack other systems. The industry line is such... The industry line is that such a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeletal setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a consumer model. How many endorphins would dropping the baby release? Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars. It would depend on the center of gravity. Tag of all time you saw in AO3, so big brain you couldn't believe it. More specifically, generally the fit concept. Now you got me curious. Not baby dropping. The system hacking. That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. Lady, this Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Those stomping behemoths they bring up for riot suppression. And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says that can't be right. Look, Dawes, I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when? Ah, right. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah, or when. Any chance you can restore those logs? Not here, not with these... not with this machine. I'd need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any idea where those would be? Sarah? I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. Body swap fic, except the person getting put in the girl's body ended up force-femmed not because of inherent self-euphoria or naturally changed my personality, but because only the main member of the body system swapped over. The rest of her system stayed behind to tease and dom the fuck out of him. Nice! Very interesting. Had a feeling you might say that. Ads, right? Sorry. I can tell you that the code is unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions, it's just... Dr. Asher or whoever took very different paths to get there. The way I've been doing Dawes' voice has gotten less and less... like, even pretending to be, like, a quote-unquote masculine voice. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside. Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end here. Not at all, you've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally, we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know? Oven? Gross. Alright, a few basic questions then. Closer to Weasley nerd, but in a fruity way.
Why did they call it an oven if you in the cold food?
I don't know. Were they stupid? Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation, Sarah? We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Never mind. Sarah will do fine. Okay. This part's all standard. Oh, I guess I should... Ding! Civilian model.
Ding.
Address. Contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do you want to reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. Not right now. The last thing, then, is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenets here, nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected, talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. And don't blame yourself. Guessing tenet count from outward appearances Guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. Used to be they only had 3 tenants total and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents and the first lawsuits, then the hearings in the legislature. And the demand for more tenants. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenant stating that ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their asses covered, customers wanted guarantees. There was never much incentive to deny a requested tenant, so the list just ballooned. Did you say something?
I said, in which direction? Was it the exact opposite?
Still weighing them equally, but as little as possible. The, oh, what's the word? The misanthrope lobby.
Oh yeah, Morgan's on that one.
Until the military entered the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenets, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Well, not like I was on the jury. I could fix her. Department of Advanced Defense Projects versus Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's requests and set a new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet. Changing tenets from a mandated list at the root of every ad's source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny. Ads with the most tenets, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenet counts are just vacuuming floors. The most impressive ones, like what you've got here, fall somewhere in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Only thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Wow. I mean, I knew it was custom, but... what price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits. You should know these formulae are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even. If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work... They say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number... Try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. Valuation of her financial value. Only known android made by David Asher, the last known piece of tech he worked on. He's now deceased and can't make more. She's one of a kind. The value of her components and potential profits reaped for experimental technology. Makes sense. You spoke differently back there. With Dawes. You spoke like he did, it seemed. Like I copied his accent? You seem to mirror his effect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It was just an observation. You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Why were you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adane? For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop, or even just a well-placed camera, could have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up with any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer. No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker.
Clamped me in the locker.
An android can't get arrested? People get arrested. property gets seized.
Wait,
and then smashed.
androids can do infinite crime.
Androids can do infinite crimes. I have to imagine a registered android, like, anything it does that would be considered a crime gets reflected back on the, like, whoever's registered as the owner, but still, technically. They're I was like, I should have a joke ready for this, and then I didn't, and I don't know why I thought I was supposed to.
Yeah, you're fine.
Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such... Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? Oh, Vice President of Android Futures, Helen Young. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very... convenient. Forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle. I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate. Or just let the elevator drop. Adonai, I figured out why we're over the weight limit. Those guys who stole the stealth prototypes are in here with us. Northeastern HQ still. Executive Office, Jung. It's so orange in here. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics.
May I?
Yeah. I'm gonna let her stew, though. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long.
I'm mostly just thinking about how, I'm pretty sure you're not too far from the first court scene, and I feel like I want to be taking as much off your plate as possible, because otherwise you're just gonna be 50 characters talking to each other.
Well, I do appreciate it.
I always liked this time of day.
I do like that in the logs of the silence it showed her name, but when she speaks it doesn't. Not too muggy for you?
No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed... cold to me.
You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year.
Is the air quality drops? Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here.
Dr. Jung.
Yes, miss is fine.
Miss Jung, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather.
No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you, though I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years.
Yes, we did. But as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone.
Take a quick peek at that profile.
Oh yeah.
December 9th. VP of Android Futures at Noble Electronics. Vice President, I guess.
Understood.
Likes red meat flower gardens, high threat accounts. Dislikes working from home, shopping online, waiting. Languages fluent in 3. Enjoys attending baseball games. Hidden talent getting children to stop crying.
I laughed because I was expecting it to be like the other guys, where the bottom was going to be like bad at. That was almost the bottom. Whatever.
Oh, that's her again. Maybe she's not bad at anything.
Was Dawes of any help?
She sent him. Trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative? He was great! But that must mean you know why I'm here.
I don't want to make assumptions.
No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over. And every person I speak to.
Yes, the lawyers made that all very clear.
Lawyers?
You have an android? It's not one of ours.
You can tell that quickly? Got all the faces memorized?
Oh, it's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes.
If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently.
David asked you to take it? I've been told that you've been to David's estate already.
The police gave me full access to the scene.
And you know he wasn't alone last night.
Yes. There was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted.
I was that witness.
Ah. Really? Obviously. There aren't that many people David would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Jung is his superior, on paper though not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation?
Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak.
I can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy, given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind?
Eventually, you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion.
Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen.
Touché.
And...
So, perhaps the truth of the matter is I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well.
You're doing this for my sake?
No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic.
If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night?
Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly.
He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person?
We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David nearly came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so... Oh, never came in. Not nearly.
Hmm.
So I visited, and he let me in, and we talked.
About?
The good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves.
How long ago was that?
7 or 8 years ago?
Miss Young?
Putting a number on it, it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. It was lively and sharp. I never would have thought that a few minutes later...
That he would be dead.
that he would commit suicide in front of me.
A firm reply. What happened?
A quarter before 8, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down to his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view.
In other words, she stayed on camera.
He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. Got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep.
You tried to wake him?
Wasn't responding. Tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system.
Didn't think to use your phone?
No. Suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Number's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with one button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived.
You went with him to the hospital, I take it?
Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a talk screen, which came back clean.
So did David's, for all the good it did him.
I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point. But I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. CCSOP. That's what they're paid to do.
You seem certain that it was suicide.
Yes.
Why?
As I said, he got quieter as the time passed, and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here, that he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you?
Curious, restless, perfectionist David. No, I guess it doesn't. Okay, so we got the update that the glass of water in the sink has her DNA. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
I don't remember what it was, and I don't think it was something that was taken note of enough to be, like, put anywhere. That would, like... be something I could double check, but I feel like it was a detail that the plastic cups were... I mean, at the very least, not something that David would normally have kept around, and that they were like... I mean, I guess there's an option to ask her about the cups, so maybe there'll be a note about that, but might have been brought by someone else. You said CCE Standard Operating Procedure a moment ago. What is that?
Oh, gosh.
Nope.
CCE
Jump
stands
scares
for
you.
Counter Corporate Espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand?
So Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned.
They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course, usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations.
They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops.
Murder is fairly rare at our level. More likely they'll want us too sick to work. Let us drain company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant.
That's smart. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources.
That's nothing compared to when they want to turn an asset. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady. Or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote every 2 weeks.
That's a nasty piece of work.
A nasty line of work. Consulting.
I'm sorry?
It's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV.
So every consultant I've met at a cocktail party was actually...
Depends. Did they say they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting?
How the hell am I supposed to remember? So, do your people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack?
Noble's competitors have been trying to get David for years. Get to David for years. And that's the time scale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. And they'd probably have struck first.
Interesting. I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups?
There's a story there.
47 poker chips in my poker chip account.
47 poker chips in your poker chip account.
Okay.
David and I got hired around the same time, under similar circumstances. Oh, that almost tempts me. Hold on, let me give this a spin. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice our actual authority was...
Inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular.
You don't mince words.
I think it works.
Yeah. We didn't either, back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating.
The two of them made the one-point doctrine. That's not the story I've heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself.
We had this deadline. Self-imposed, but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer, trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David and tell him it's not going to happen. We're nowhere near finished, and the day's long since been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat, and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, President lives on the other side of the globe. You've still got all night until his end of day. We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then, only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message, and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. He stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping that the harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. And we get a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I had been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, and together, David and I, we'd finally gotten a win. So David asks if I got anything to drink. Got a bottle of some swill in a cabinet at my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle, says he wants to toast. So we said...
Oh.
The energy. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. Toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day work was hell.
Sounds like a good memory.
Plastic cups and liquor. That was our little ritual. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us.
Okay, so that updated the plastic
Sure.
cup. We've got the quick summary of her story, and of counter-corporate espionage. I think that... Oh, there's been a lot of these so far, huh? Skim articles real quick. I thought there was something about the one-point doctrine. Maybe it was another thing that what we've gotten on it wasn't quite important enough to get noted. As VP of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you?
That's correct.
Didn't you join the company at around the same time?
Rick. David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing corporate politics game. The corporate politics game.
So, was he unpopular around here?
Not unpopular, no. Not the great Dr. David Asher. Misunderstood, perhaps.
How so?
He could be blunt. Demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just... Not everyone could work at the same pace as he did, for as long as he did.
Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David. Speaking of which, I don't see any at Jung's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So you would say that his work-life balance was...
Balance implies the two are at odds with one another. Oh god, it's this bit.
Oh.
We use work-life harmony here at the company.
Ooh. Fascinating. So, was he in harmony?
No. David always had plenty of suitors, but... He was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on that subject.
Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. Scandalous. I almost feel like that's less scandalous than, like, actually having a bunch of flings.
Yeah, but also, you gotta... people... You need people to understand that you genuinely were just a dumbass.
Yeah.
Versus just sounding like you're making excuses.
That's true. The A16 only entered production this year, correct?
Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday, and we began shipping them in the first quarter.
I understand that you were instrumental in the success of Warm Androids.
I played my part supervising the launch, yes.
Weren't you the one who designed serotonin? The factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts?
Oh my god, I don't know why I'm yawning.
The curse.
I'm like the least tired person here. Surprised you've heard of that. I did leave the project, yes, but that was years ago. At the same time, serotonin was little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it.
Took the reins?
He was lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. And he designed the synthetic nerves that made all of that possible.
David did all of that? That's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields? Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15?
No. He used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't want to drift too far. 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas. And eventually, I came to follow his lead.
Just like that.
Just like that.
So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments?
That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Asher was.
Maybe they weren't paying him enough.
The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years.
So this android, Sarah... Even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from.
It's not in any of... Oh, frick. It's not in any of our systems.
I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet?
Me when someone says pet. No, he never gave me any indication like that.
Pouting like this when someone says pet near me but then doesn't even pet me.
Yeah. And if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anybody higher on the food chain than himself, and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice.
He never mentioned me.
No, never.
Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card?
The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody. Not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom.
You have a mailroom?
Not since the 30s, just a figure of speech.
Oh.
He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record. But no one would deny Dr. David Asher information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. And with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself.
I don't understand it. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal. Except the hacking stuff. So why keep it secret?
I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results. Wow!
Fucked up? Could be. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you.
Difficult day for all of us.
A message from Fran?
Oh boy.
I'm running out of leads to chase. The brat better have good news.
Are you really going to take this to court?
That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge.
The circumstances may be oregano.
It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of.
And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide?
I guess I haven't decided what I believe. I haven't kept perfect track, but I think if I remember correctly, Morgan asked Fran to get info within an hour, and it has been several hours.
Maybe.
Which,
that sounds like Fran.
Yeah, that sounds like Fran. I don't care, but I'm sure Morgan will. In transit. Get this marked off real quick. Just the summary of her description of events. Would you kindly slow the hell down? I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I walking too quickly for you? That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different. Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like the Xinjiao? Probably didn't hit that quite right.
Probably way closer than I would have done. Yeah.
Just let me catch my breath for a minute. Adonai, is it possible that you are out of shape? Oh, she's giving
47.
back now. 47.
47, are you out of shape?
No. But since we left the cab, your heart rate has... I'm not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes. Is that so? Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun's reaching its zenith. That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temp... You said it would be a short walk from street level, so I prepared myself mentally for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket, and you didn't mention we'd have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here? The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it. Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me to someone from the city orchestra or a jazz club. The champagne flute and teacup kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of town. It should be in view if we turn... Adonai, be careful. Of what? It's a stray, and it's bearing its fangs, too. It could be carrying diseases. You should... relax. Adonai, it's growling. It's not growling at me. See? So it's just me that it doesn't like. Too much static. How'd you get it to calm down? It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm. Do you like animals? What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals? Do you have a pet? No, never have. Why not? Because I don't want to take care of a pet. That seems counterintuitive to me. Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. But... you notice you're only this talkative when it's just the two of us? Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety? It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today I have really been addressed directly by people other than you. In other words, you're shy. That is not what I... Can I try petting it? There's no law against it.
There's no rule that says an android can't pet dogs.
Ultraviolets. I thought something popped up. Maybe not. Maybe I already clicked it. This is the establishment. Now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims. Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met? I think he was close with him, yeah. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night. So they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together? That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate? Adonai, it's only... I'm getting a very important text message from my private investigator. Excuse me.
Catch the killer yet?
No.
What the hell? I sent you his position.
I'm at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now.
Lame.
Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Osher a corporate sellout in your eyes?
Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Asher gets respect. I'm a demolitions expert. He's like a really good architect.
That's almost sweet. I think.
Asher started out working in Cube. So, in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like, I don't know. As a kid, he built all his bricks by hand. Or something.
You know, that lit homework can help you with forming analogies.
Eat this analogy. Eat. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger.
I take it Cube is a programming language. What's special about it?
Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically.
But not Cube.
You can look it up. That basically Cube was originally for robotics and like machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines. Under the ocean. Middle of nowhere fields with zero signal service. So Cube had to be self-sufficient.
How rugged.
Where'd Asher learn Cube anyway? It's older than dirt. From like the 40s.
I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something.
Vague.
Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family. And I never asked. What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai? Not telling. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you, but we'll do a scan over everything else first. A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste and the gap between chewing and swallowing. So you can, like, eat things? Yes, I can. What, like, Android food? There is no such product. So what do androids eat? Online user guides for Noble's worm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes. Sounds a lot like what almost said mold users. Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drinks and energy bars. And charger separation anxiety. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets if they need to forgo electrical charging long-term. Processed pellets? You mean like kibble, like dog food? No, it is not like dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? It seems that you can. How is this something you have to look up, anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef. Never hydroponic avocados. Foie gras. That sort of thing. I am not paying for any of that. Raising my daughter from birth on the finest steaks and wines. Cube was a tier V programming, probably tier 5. Programming language commonly used in mid-21st century robotics, intended to support robust behavior trees in low data stream environments. Its design philosophy emphasized lean, goal-oriented learning that would not be reliant on the bloated libraries and always-online API popularized in the 2030s. Rousseau Fluff, real name unknown, first began working on Cube in 2044 as part of a student robotics project. Cube 0.9 released in 2045, and by 2048, Cube 3.1 had already found itself embedded in robotics engineering across the globe. Despite having what is considered a relatively high barrier to entry in user knowledge and execution, Cube gained widespread popularity, particularly among disaffected communities and third world countries, where internet access would remain unreliable for the next 2 decades as regional conflicts would continue. Infamously, Contra fighter engineers utilized Cube during this 27-day siege to seize mechanized weapons from peacekeeping forces in a cyber warfare operation that is frequently cited as the key reason as to why the siege lasted as long as it did. Say what?
Cyber warfare.
Cyber warfare. Contra warfare.
Cyber mines.
Cube has not been developer supported since 2063 and is considered a defunct programming language. Because much of its documentation was never ported from the old.NET and due to its incompatibility with tenants, there is little to no corporate interest in the ongoing grassroots digital archaeology effort to archive it. Never Hydroponic is a movement calling for sourcing food exclusively from farms utilizing natural sunlight. Lobbyists for the movement have made unsubstantiated claims about superior taste or nutritional value, but the label has yet to receive official state recognition, and thus the presence of the term, or terms like it, on food packaging carries no weight and is not backed by any legal guarantee. One of a number of food sourcing movements that arose in the latter half of the 21st century as rising sea levels reduced the total amount of arable land around the world and shifted the global agricultural industry towards hydroponics and vertical farms. Rural skyscrapers where each floor is utilized for food production, saving on real estate costs and reducing the impact of unstable weather on agricultural output. Blah 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 blah. What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview? Exclusive sit-down with luxury. You've heard her name on everyone's lips. You've seen her face in magazines and commercials, and then double-checked to make sure the photos weren't labeled as edited. Now get all your burning questions about her answered here in our exclusive interview with the mysterious young woman who's being called, in perhaps the only truly unanimous vote the net's ever seen, the most beautiful woman in the world. Hi, good morning. Why the name?
Hello.
People think it's an ego thing, but it was just a random username I picked back when I was grassroots. Then it was a pseudonym to give me a little shade from all the attention. Now it's a brand, and I can't change it without setting the stock market into a spin, so... You're certainly influential. After partnering with you, Inti saw a 3,000% increase in share price. Yay! I'm happy for them, course, but to be honest, it's a pain at times like this. She gestures towards her clothes, a plain white t-shirt and gym shorts with no branding visible. On anyone else it might seem sloppy or even unflattering. On her, it only makes her natural beauty stand out that much more. Who are you wearing, by the way? Can't wear anyone unless I'm attending something. If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars every time I leave the house.
Oh, brands! I was like, who are you? What do you mean, who are you wearing?
It's always been a funny phrase.
Your skin. Who's that skin suit you got?
You got someone else's face? Who's it from? Does it stress you, all that attention? Stress is bad for your skin, right? They say mine's flawless. Can't argue with that. So do you have a skincare routine? Any tips you'd like to share? Be a little bratty. Act a little spoiled. Keeps you young. And how old are you exactly?
True.
Everyone's dying to know. 18 to 29, now and forever. Don't get stuck on a cliffhanger like that. Hurry! Log in below so you can read the rest. Quickly, time is running out. Always think that when someone says, "Who are you wearing?" It makes sense with how many fashion brands are, like, named after the, like, founder or owner or whatever, but it's still a little silly. Like, it feels like trying to sidestep the corporatization that is inherent to what's going on. Well, however old she is or isn't, Luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. Also, hello, welcome. It might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe. It's one hell of a face. In the meantime, she's... Well, let me get a quick double check. She sounds a little powerless, like... Very, very, beholden to... I mean, her sponsors and... her business partners in the stock market. Trapped between a rock and a hard place. If she steps out of line, her sponsors will bleed each other dry in bidding wars for her wardrobe's limited real estate. It's no skin off her back, she's already got more money than she could ever spend. But corporations can't afford to not keep growing. So they never reach a point where they can afford to lose. If she's smart enough to take advantage of that, good for her. No, I guess it's the other way around. She's comfortable enough to, like... take advantage of... the situation. Oh well. The stage for the talent, pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark, once you get past the bouncer. Do you think they might have met here? The bouncer. David and Porter? I can't see David walking in here. Because you found the walk so challenging? Because it's too loud to relax, and not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You got an opinion to share? The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite... I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like? Early 21st century punk rock. Is that just you, or does that go for all androids? I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they'd say that music peaked with early 21st century punk rock. Debate settled. I'm realizing I don't know any, like... I mean, maybe it's one of those early 21st century means... the time period that's, like, still in the near future in real life, but...
The do-nots.
I can think of... Yeah, I can think of surprisingly real... I mean, surprisingly few, like, actually, like, punk rock bands from the amount of the early 21st century that's already happened. I can only think of, like, pop punk and folk punk. Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, part of the problem is that, like, is like the second one finds success, way too many people are gonna be like, well, they're not punk.
Yeah, but insofar as like musical categorization, regardless of the like vibes or culture or whatever exists, like there's like the line from like, you know, like the Sex Pistols through to like 90s stuff that's like much more rock, much more like centrally rock. Most of the bands people would put in that category are like from the 90s, so not technically 21st century. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I'm not an expert, but I feel like the perception I get is that like Green Day is either like right on the line or like leaning into the pop punk side of the line.
I mean,
and that's
honestly,
still a
if Green
90s
Day's
band.
Close to the line, then I can think of a lot of ones that would definitely fit.
Yeah, I definitely don't doubt there are some. It's not anything that I know of. Not from, again, not from more modern than the 90s. Like, everything that is coming to mind is too, like, into some, like, too far into, like, a different subgenre. Okay, yeah, that's him, alright. Looks like he's killing time before his sets tonight. Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai? I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me, I'll... just play it straight. Isaac Porter?
Couldn't play it straight if her life depended on it.
That's true.
What? Hold on. Let me see how low I can go these days. What's up? That was barely a change. Hold on. What's up?
My name's Morgan. I was David's friend. Right now I'm his lawyer. Can we talk?
Hence, were you a friend from his work?
No.
Over here.
Thanks, Isaac. Go ahead and check that profile before we get deep into the conversation. September 18th. Musician, bassist. Likes itineraries, grilling, champagne. Dislikes resistance training, producers, ads. The best at gift giving, the worst at folding laundry. Favorite quote? I don't do requests. Favorite quote is in like the thing he says the most, which would make sense, or favorite quote is in his favorite thing of someone else to say, in which case that is really funny.
I just want to grill, for God's sakes. Don't thank me yet. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. What kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend?
I'm his defense attorney.
Think you missed the bus on that, then, yeah?
And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday.
Isn't everyone? I'm somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks.
You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died.
What the hell?
Isaac. It's pretty obvious that you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary, so why don't we cut to the chase? No lies. No playing coy.
Fine.
Sarah. Yes, Adonai?
The hell? Is that thing transmitting?
I am not streaming any data, no. Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court.
Fine.
You two were together, is that correct?
We were together. I ended it. Yesterday.
Oh. Care to elaborate?
On our entire relationship?
Look, you can tell me everything once and I can get it on the record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months.
We met in a bar. I'd seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth but not looking with his eyes. Kicked me off. Scribbling on napkins and letting a single gin and tonic sweat onto the table for 2 hours. Dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes. And he'd still sit there for the rest of the night, unfazed. He'd couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night, things were slow and my set had been canceled, and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse for bailing, so I asked him why he insisted on coming there night after night. Just to ignore the vapid people he wasn't interested in at his shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, because I like your music. And that ticked me off. It was cute early on. Him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever.
Until?
There was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point, I started to understand where his priorities were. And how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed that he would also be that passionate about me at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him, like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset. He'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. It was my mistake. Watched him sit there all those nights, not giving a shit when people walked away, and still I had the stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. That I would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it.
Last night?
I called him. Didn't expect he'd pick up. I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or ad or whatever. But he answered. First ring. Without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. And that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he had made me feel the past few months. Told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Asher.
And what did he say?
He apologized. And then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him.
Ugh. Woof.
I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain for him and his coldness. He had made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. Then this morning I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. What the hell, man? Hell, David. Now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Asher over the edge. Never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. Just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking for too much.
It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide.
Serious?
You don't have all the facts.
And you do? Any one of them point to anything else? Thought so.
Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it.
That's it? No summons?
The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that.
Court, huh?
Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive.
Yeah, thanks.
And your range is remarkable. So it pained me to see that all your works in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think...
What the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the words? Need to steal them from somewhere first, butcher them before shitting them back out?
I was not trained on any datasets that...
Nah, pardon me. My mistake, really. It's your fault you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century.
Sarah, we're leaving. What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model, an early 21st century... Not that. Why'd you talk to him? I wanted to... I just felt that I should say something to him. A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just... corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai? Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on, there's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there's only one place I could find it at this point.
Oh, okay, we're safely out of that scene. Hold on.
Get back into the normal
register.
register.
It's been a long time since I've done that.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time other than, like, for London, who's mostly just kind of like a turning the fry way up. I don't remember the last time I, like, intentionally did, like, an actually deep voice.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally, but I know who his character, and he's got that edge to him, so felt like it was worth it.
Yeah. Oh, back to the penthouse. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. The basement. You sure you don't want another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle. So what?
I said I'm so lost without you.
The other angle. You know, inductive versus deductive. Flip the chessboard and all that.
Point to the screen. They said the human echo.
Haven't you ever read a mystery novel? Oh my god, what was it? I got caught off. I've started playing Honkai Star Rail, and I got caught off guard by like a side quest that referenced the like Red Truth.
Yeah. I've been completely incapable of ever imagining Morgan as not sounding like English voice Kafka.
Oh yeah, I mean they've got like, yeah, I think that's real.
Which I think is I think it's beautiful because her vocal fry is so good.
I think I don't know that I would say it's been intentional, but I think that is kind of like something I've been trying to evoke, especially in like I saw a video comparing like Kafka's English voice in the like truths and lies conversation, where like when she's lying, she puts a little bit more goofiness in how she speaks. Good way to like kind of do Morgan.
What a good game Miss Gotchas go.
For sure. I think I'm probably getting close to that as well. Hold on. Haven't you ever read a mystery novel? I've seen mystery films. Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Usher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system. Now how did that poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. And if he had inhaled it? Inhaled it? Why... Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering by question. I suppose it's possible. But highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right. An airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area, and no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we're left is oral intake. Oh. Hello, thank you so much for the follow. That puts us at a follower goal. One of those things Twitch kind of just assigns to me, and I'm like, well, if it happens, it happens. Inhaler, like so many employees seem to have, yeah, it's not impossible to imagine he was exposed to an inhaler in some way, but it is mentioned that he didn't actually use one himself, and that it seems either Helen Jung either also doesn't use one or keeps a closer like lock and key on it than like the other employee we spoke to, for example. Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai? Jung's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night, and the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup, the results were inconclusive. Jung was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude, then, that David's cup alone was poisoned. That all seems logical, and consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0? David left the parlor and came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Jung told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So we have to conclude then that he got them both from this bar? Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet?
The 5-point stance.
A 5-point winning smile. The police have been in here since we left. According to their ARCS file, they didn't find anything that matches that poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup, then. I need to flip this around again. That if you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back to... If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So, if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But Adonai, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. I think there are. What do you mean? This whole building is coated head to toe in Penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on every floor. It's all plugged into Penumbra. Except that. That panel is manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse? I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. You mean... signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before? It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not... He would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purposes of record-keeping, yes. I've gotten past the 64-digit code, and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorized, they're on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to, if not the Penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. A false wall in the back of a safe. I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me. He was brilliant and more than a little odd. Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric. I see, I think. I don't. The hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... Time's short. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. So I can look over most of the things over again. The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. No poison to be found here. Well, not that kind of poison anyway. In which case... Can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have... Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever? Technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up, maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder. This is a rolling ladder, a kind of step ladder, not a ladder. What? Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out. And... it's important to know the distinction. I'd bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again, ever. That, sounds like a slightly loaded bit of dialogue. The Phoenix Wright ladder joke. Did Phoenix Wright make the same ladder joke, or is there something else?
God damn it. God damn it. I was up making my microwave pizza and I couldn't do a live reaction. It is an extended running gag between Phoenix and his assistant is arguing about ladders and versus step ladders as a definition.
Okay, awesome.
And whether it matters or is irrelevant.
Okay. So it's at least probably just a reference to that. That's really good, though.
Oh, it is 10 billion% a reference.
Definitely a reference, one way or another. So, is that the original? It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. Was it?
I said Starwalker.
At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see? I see a meeting. Or perhaps an encounter. Two apex forces of nature, two kings of the forest. The stag and the tiger. I think. Great, I'm officially less cultured than the robot. What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising?
Freaking look at him.
Did you ever see him use any of his crap? Did you ever see his weak estrogenized arms? No, but he must have used the weights when I wasn't looking, since he promised me that he'd take better care of his health. Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like this even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure, Adonai. Pardon? The following is a true story, based on primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981. 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the Global Danke Bank on Frederiksberg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings. But the man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller had only this to say: "That man was all muscle." The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident, and the man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene when suddenly his suitcase explodes. But it's just a smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the play and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality. And so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say a man like Father can't do just because of how he looks on the outside.
Be careful who you make fun of in high school.
Sarah, every single word you just said was false. Huh? Don't believe everything you read on the net. You have to understand, Adonai. Plural girlies are simply built different.
They're built different from their other plural members.
What's the story with this, anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation. How? Did David drop a weight? A bunch of times over and over in the same spot? If Plural Girlies could shape... the world of Plural Girlies could really shapeshift. Utopian scene .jpg. Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially, the bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Got it open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It is a Tethys Basics sturdy cure. That anti-hack feature in the name is real? It's a closed system, Adonai. The hell am I supposed to do now?
I'll have to find some kind of lock-picking lawyer.
Oh, if only she was a lock-picking lawyer and not a crime-committing lawyer.
Now, she has explicitly said she doesn't know how to pick locks, too.
She's just a heartbreaking lawyer. Oh, one moment. Quick, Morgan, bring out the super strong altar. Or the lock-picking altar. Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters.
This is the heartbreaking lawyer, and today I have this person who claims he's invincible.
I don't follow. When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. And he made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning this is a door that only I can open? It'll be a 6-character password, some combination of numbers, or letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word? Nothing comes to mind. Is there a code word that he knew only I could learn?
Doinks.
No, that wouldn't be it. What? I feel like there was something that stood out at some point. Name.
Nah, name's only 4 letters.
Yeah. Password is too long. I can't look at my... Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Let me look at profiles real quick. Well, hold on. That might not matter. No dice. Could it be your birthday? Or his? If David set the password to something as dumb as that, I'd never forgive him. As you say, Adonai. No, he would have picked a code whose significance was only obvious after the fact. That didn't work either. Perhaps a deep breath would help you refocus, Adonai. Okay, well, it's given me 2 tries. Now I'll poke around. I don't think there's anything... That would be the brand of eyeglasses. Since Fume Unique, I don't think it would play into it. Maybe Something notable in the evidence? I only started getting evidence when we came back out and started looking at the scene. So I don't think it would have been anything like that. Rose River wouldn't fit, nor either of the words on their own.
Whiskey, wineski, schnapski.
It's not like I'm taking a multiple choice test, Sarah. Either I know the answer or I don't. I see. So do you know the answer, Adonai? I'm getting there. I don't think I'm getting there. I mean, could it just be Morgan? That'd be silly. M-O-R-G. Was that your name you just tried? It's 6 characters, isn't it? Yes, but it's not exactly secure, Adonai. Anyone who knew you and Father were close could have tried guessing it. Was there some word that only the two of you knew? A nickname? Pretty much everyone just calls me Morgan. But not everyone.
This sequence is so funny watching it again.
It's opening. What was the password, Adonai?
It took me a long time, but watching someone else do it is just like, oh, she says it at the end of every one of her sentences while you're fishing for hints. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't, unfortunately, the log, I guess I could go skim through my VOD after stream, but the log doesn't go back anywhere near far enough. And
it's just really clever because the game has done more than enough to just use it enough to, by this point, your brain just glosses over it.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. It's a good puzzle.
Like, I did think of it at one point, like a little bit earlier, and I kind of decided against it, but because, like, I don't remember if it was actually said to be something that had relevance to David and like his relationship with Sarah, or if it was just something like, I don't know. It feels like it probably was, but I don't remember. You'd never guess. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here and it all makes sense. It's a panic room. Scary.
Yowie.
A panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints. So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. First thought was Morgan, because only she can open it in 6 letters, and in a way you were almost right. The embarrassing thing is I thought of Morgan before I tried it, and I was like, no, it's not 6 letters. Which, in my defense, was because I was also looking at David and Sarah, which are 5 letters. I just didn't actually look at the name Morgan until when I decided to try it. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all of this. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sounds, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human, and some canines. So does it smell stale in here to you? Stale? It doesn't to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console is password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton android, and a secret phrase. If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. Ooh. Her eyes and barcodes standing out even in like a heavy screen effect like this is really striking.
Yeah.
You looking for camera footage? I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for video files. They'll probably be timestamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. The most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday at around 4 p.m. You were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at that time is David himself. Alright, let's see it then. Of course, it's just that I am having difficulty. Try double-clicking.
Pardon me, sugar.
I have been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, Adane.
You know, my brain just like did something crazy because I observed like what number was on that slide. And it's like, well, that definitely can't be the actual numeric line of dialogue. And I'm just like, you know, I wonder if they all have different numbers. I wonder if altogether they don't form like some kind of conversation or like information as they keep getting spelled out over the course of all the chapters is going to be, and then you end up with something that's like at least 120 or so like sentences.
Huh.
Or basic words, and it's like, oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. I feel like there was one we got last week that was like there were like 3 of those slides in a row without like any other dialogue between them, but they were numbered like every other number apart from each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
And like
I might have to go crazy and do a quick like replay through of the 3 episodes that are out and see if this doesn't start to form something.
Because like if the fact that they were in close, like they were such close numbers, makes it feel like the numbers aren't chosen at random. But also like it isn't based on the dialogue that they appear in. It's very intriguing, however you slice it.
Yeah, I might go crazy later.
But they are encrypted. Damn it, David, you leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your computer. What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Shit. If David Asher handwrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could... Whoops. Hey, Was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special? Don, Can you break his encryption, yes or no? With enough time. And how much time would that be? I would estimate it at 2 to 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes as long as the work required is rote. So you're doing it in the back of your head? Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery? I have copied the encrypted files and we'll work on them as we travel. We can leave whenever you're ready. Still can't believe they had let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far. And the computer's not the only thing in here. The cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds and holdings. A platinum bar? His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Asher's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. Noble's logo on the front, and in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. They're masking it in legalese even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me. It must be very important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy. Well, is there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up? It is a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of... There is something else. Your papers. That Evangeline Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah. It's dated to a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Well, at least we've got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are, but Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings. Unless I had something like this. It's good that you do, then. I'm glad that Father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah. This'll give me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying. All colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. You can cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. There is an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. But I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Adonai. Sarah's papers. Tax-free transaction, fortunately. David's contract. Full text of his employment. Compensation, grounds for dismissal, definitions for what constitutes a breach of contract, and how arbitrations would be handled. Not a light read. Just before 6. Does it excite you, going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel a fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses? Do you really think this is going to be like some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? Probably not. But that would be nice if it were. What's your deal, anyway? Did David train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something? We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking, though he was really the one who suggested it. So you were the aggressor. What's an android get out of watching a flick, anyway? Well, what do I get? Why do you do it? What's your reason? I'm not sure how to answer your question. Never mind. Forgot what I was talking to. I like the performances. Sure. There you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something? He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. Well, I'm gonna image search Humphrey Bogart.
You're out to judge her.
I mean, he's about as handsome as, like, every other notable movie star from the, like, first half of the century. So I guess so. Casablanca guy, right? That sounds right.
Yeah.
Every guy used to have the same hairstyle. The truth is, besides father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I hadn't noticed. I read the net, and I watch people, and what they share of their lives. But it's all so subtle, so hard to follow. There are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're also complex.
Hey, what's that like?
So detailed. But the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate, their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction. So these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and end. And the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You can just watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure, back when I was a kid. Really? Who was your favorite director? What was your favorite film? It was a long time ago. I don't remember. This feels like a good, like, it's obviously very easy to read, like, non-human character having a hard time grasping people as, like, an autism thing, but
It helps that that what's clearly going on is that Morgan clearly understands every moment and has just had a lifetime of masking.
yeah. There's that, and there's,
So,
like...
in a way, it's like there's two stereotypes that on their own are reasonably, like, you know, fraught when it comes to neuroatypical people, but together they almost kind of balance each other out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hadn't even thought of it that way, but, like... I totally agree.
Which says something when one of them is well, it also helps because at least some of the implications of the things Morgan has said is not that like I don't know how to connect to people, therefore I'm a killer, but that that she's just kind of absorbed a mindset of that belief that she's just messed up and born wrong.
Yeah.
And uses it as an excuse than anything that's necessarily true.
Absolutely. Plus, there's definitely an element as well of, like, other androids are so, like, specifically, like, I mean, they're programmed to, like, act correctly, and and I feel like that's a good metaphor for, like, they just know, like, the social conventions in a way that, like, Sarah doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So even among the, like, androids in the setting, she's autistic coded.
Yeah.
Not that we've seen a lot of NPC androids, but at least from we've seen at least a few. State Building, 448. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse. Though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers, all-encompassing and impenetrably vague.
I always felt courthouse was a misnomer. I'm not dating any buildings.
It's strictly casual. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues, with a couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead or that he'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain, loudly of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered in my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? It must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide, and I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, preparing to humor and add suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I am making progress. Well, shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it would be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a completion percent. Give it your best shot anyway. 4%. Are you feeling confident in your case? Markedly less so after hearing that. Do you think the judge will be amenable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjutants are always a coin flip, so... You do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man and with a robe and gavel when we get in there? Maybe bald and very idiosyncratic. Doesn't really seem to know what he's doing.
They would never put anyone like that in here. This game is serious.
This game is for serials. Should I not? Adjutants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm. So, androids are used to reduce caseload. Been that way for decades. But how is a law that replaced the judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions? Stalling? Judges did fight it for years, at every level and in every theater. But the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants. And it's not controversial, having machines determine sentencing for human beings. Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high-profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week. And that's not rushing things. Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I'm just surprised to hear that there's so much haste. Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick. I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Why aren't they used in politics? That's a logical question to ask. And the answer is that logic only gets you so far when it comes to people. Doesn't everyone want the courts to be as just as possible? If adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible, everyone wants justice, sure. But there are other considerations to be had. Such as? Disgust. What? That's all people really care about, what all their morals boil down to. Just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. I don't understand. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem. Oh.
Whoa!
Close to 6:30. Courtroom 48D. Hi, Emma. It is technically time to wrap it up for the day.
I will let you know if there is not exactly going to be a blatantly obvious stop point immediately after the court starts. So if you're going to stop, now would be the time.
That sounds good then. So let's Hold on, we have a term, actually. Adjutant. Commercial name for Automated Dependent Judicial Models. Adjutants are automated dependents that preside over trials for the state. While most are designed and sold as software and then loaded onto courthouse-specific hardware, they can interpret trial proceedings and render judgment based entirely on stenographer records if needed be, ruling on cases in an entirely digital capacity. Reviews of adjutants by third parties have shown that they are overwhelmingly more equitable and even-handed in their sentencing than human judges. Because they cannot be bribed or intimidated, adjutants are especially preferred for cases involving organized crime or corporate misconduct. Use a 9-volt personality engram for rendering their judgments and building consensus, known as the nonary system among software engineers. Because each of these 9...
Huh?
Say what?
Oh, that's just a shorthand a lot of people use for the 999 Virtue's Last Reward.
Oh.
And I forget the name of the last one series. The Nonary games.
I think I have heard that. Because each of these 9 personas are constructed by a different think tank or institution from across the political spectrum, ideological contamination in adjutant units is practically impossible.
Wait, oh my god, sorry, I'm only just processing that what they're describing is the stupid four-corner political chart, but exaggerated to a D&D chart.
Yeah, and like, you put 9 of those guys in one brain, and call it like a super partial robot, or a super impartial robot.
For partial robot.
Been a small number of reported cases where nonary processing has borne particularly enthusiastic or eccentric personas, presumably in an unorthodox, if not effective, attempt to reconcile particularly disparate opinions across their 9 constituent personalities with a single, authoritative, loud voice. With the state's court backlog essentially declared for the past half... Good lord. With the state's court backlog essentially cleared for the past half-decade, questions arose as to the continued need for adjutants to lighten the judicial system's human resource burden. But Senate Investigative Committee 74JD91 determined that removing adjutants from the legal system would be prohibitively expensive at this point. Now this whole block of text does sound like, despite the like little aside they just had in the previous conversation, this JudgeBot is going to be super quirky. But I guess we'll see you next week. Save game.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out, and thanks for. Oh, there's a word I'm looking for. I guess helping out works though.
Yeah, I will be sure to be home by midnight next week. Or not midnight, midnight noon next week.
Would probably also be ideal.
You're literally starting in court, and Emma is the first one who's gonna be saying anything.
Yeah, I'm sure I can make it work if need be, but I definitely won't mind more assistance. There's not immediately anyone calling my attention to raid into. I still keep meaning to try and find the time to like look for some people that are reliably streaming, but I don't feel like doing it right now. So what was that?
I just said okay.
Oh, gotcha.
That's it.
So thank you everybody for being here. As we have fallen into, we're doing Silent Hill F on Friday, and I'm enjoying that a lot. We're doing Of the Devil next Monday still, enjoying this a lot as well.
So I've been meaning to ask, and you don't have to give an answer particularly extensive since we're wrapping up. but I wasn't there to catch the episode, and I did notice you did one episode of Metroid Prime 4, and then there weren't more.
So, the gist of the
how'd that go?
well, the gist of what happened is that, like, the way that I had tried to acquire the game just didn't work, and I hadn't sufficiently, like, checked on it to make sure it would ahead of time, so I kind of was just troubleshooting and not making progress all stream.
Okay.
And
I will withhold all thoughts and opinions.
ultimately, the biggest thing at play is that, like, after having a bunch of technical difficulties for several games in a row, I was just like,
yeah, you don't want to deal with that crap.
Yeah, I was stressed, and I wanted to take a few weeks break and do something else. I might still try to, properly troubleshoot, I guess, ahead of time. I might still try to go for Metroid Prime 4, just because I do still want to play it, and I feel like it would still be fun to stream. But it's not urgent.
Alright, well, now I know.
Yeah. I have been trying to make a point to make sure and plug everything that I've got, so if you got here from somewhere else and you'd like to find, like, stream updates during the rest of the week, you can follow us on Tumblr, or if you want to get into the backlog, you can find us on YouTube. Both websites are also username JuniPops. And if you want to toss us a little bit of monetary support, like, obviously you could subscribe on Twitch, or you could hop over to Ko-Fi.com,
Give my wife money.
where I'm also on as JuniPops. And I hope to see all of you on Friday. I'm having a great time with Silent Hill.
We're getting foggy.
And I hope that you'll have a good rest of the day today. Bye-bye.
Yeah,